Hi and welcome. I am Larry DeMarco, your host, and today I am here with MaryAnn Petri. She's the author of Dismantling Family Court Corruption, Why Taking the Kids Wasn't Enough. MaryAnn, thank you for being a guest.
And thank you for having me.
Tell me about the book and why you wrote it.
Well, it took me years to think about writing it because I didn't want to, but everyone was constantly asking me, what happened? What happened? And I thought I should just have a book. So, here's the book, read it. It was just getting exhausting telling the story over and over again. And it was such a bad court experience, it had to be told.
So you had an issue in family court. Give us a little bit of background and what led up to it.
Well, what led up to that was when my ex-husband remarried. To be honest, she started interfering in our co-parenting. And we had been co-parenting very well, but it just started deteriorating into absolutely nothing within probably a year or so. And then I remarried in like 2011 to my current husband, Brad. And it just completely turned into an atomic bomb when I married Brad.
And is that when some difficulties occurred for which you needed to go into family court?
Yes.
What specifically happened?
Well, the first thing was that he wanted custody of only the one of the children. And I'm thinking, it was like an emergency petition. And it was like, luckily the judge kind of figured it out, and she said, no, status quo. Everything's going to remain status quo. I'm going, thank God, maybe this will just stop it. Little did I know.
What actually happened that led you to write the book?
Well, he stopped paying child support. Now, I want to make it clear, when we divorced, we came up with a figure on our own. He did not want to go into the court. Seth told me, I don't want to go into the courthouse. I said, that's fine with me. I don't want to go in there either.
So you both started working together, co-parenting,
yes.
And both had in principle the idea to avoid litigation and stay out of court. And then things change. Can you give me just a general picture of what happened over the years?
It was one thing after another. It's like when he stopped paying the child support, I desperately needed help to pay a mortgage. So my father paid the mortgage until I could sell the house. And then, I was married to Brad at the time, so we were making 2 mortgages. Now we didn't have to. Okay, so then what happened was suddenly he wants full custody. To make a long story short.
Sure. And what resulted from that custody battle?
Well, the silver bullet allegation of she's mentally ill and the false allegation, which ended my career as a registered nurse. I was a nurse for 23 years, that I was emotionally abusing one of the children. Then I was cleared. I had to go through a hearing with not in a courthouse. It's before the child services judge or whatever. And I was exonerated from that 4 days later, because I thought I could go back to work at the hospital. I called them up. Little did I know I'd go to the mailbox, which I soon became fearful of, because every time you go out there, there's something bad happening. Sure enough, another indication of emotional child abuse on the second one. The second child.
As soon as you beat one, another one started right afterwards.
Yeah, and what I had recently learned is it was in the works like 3 months prior, or 2 months prior.
And for how long were you married to your ex-husband, the father of your children?
Total of 10 years.
Did he ever have a problem with you and going to the police or saying that you were an unfit mother? Did he ever complain that you were a bad mother with the children or anything of the like?
Nothing.
So this was an allegation that he was using after a divorce when he never even mentioned an issue, never had any criticism. I guess I just want to view our listeners to understand that this is an allegation to be used in court, not that there was substance to it. When he had an issue with you personally, he made an allegation. When you were both under the same roof and married, there was no issue of you as a person, a parent, or any of the allegations that he raised in the litigation.
Correct, yeah.
Tell me what resulted.
It was like, okay, I know like mediation would be a great thing, and I always encourage mediation, but there are some people you cannot mediate with. And I got sucked into family court. I did not want to go in there. In fact, I told my lawyer, I said, I hate this place. And he said, really? Some people love coming in here. I'm going, not me. It's like.
Wasn't he being sarcastic when he said that, or teasing?
He was being serious.
Oh, wow.
He says, yeah, some people like coming in here. And I'm like, I don't.
Was he referring to the lawyers?
Well, I think he was referring to his clients.
Okay.
Because, I don't know. Some people like, I don't know. I don't know what they like.
No one I know. So anyway, what resulted from that litigation?
Well, we had a judge that was, my attorney informed me that the judge and the opposing attorney were well known to each other as they worked in the courthouse for several years prior to him becoming a judge. And
did he move for recusal when he knew that?
And he wouldn't do it. He says, I know this case better than anyone else, and I'm not going to be recused.
The judge said he wouldn't be recused, but your lawyer did make the motion.
We did it verbally. And then I told him, I said, I want you removed from the case. And he says, no, I know this case better than anyone else.
So then what happened after that point on?
Well, at that point on, he put the caseworker on, and the caseworker who with this alleged indication of emotional abuse. And I want to make it clear that it was a one-sided interview. She did not interview my parents or, close relatives. She only interviewed the ex-husband and his entourage. Okay, so when she got up on to the witness stand, she thoroughly enjoyed herself, sitting up very proud, just very proud of herself. And when the judge said, do you recommend these children be removed? And she goes, well, they're going through something horrible. I do recommend they be removed. And I'm like going, And so when the judge said, I'm going to give full bodily custody to Seth, there was whooping, clapping, and cheering in the courtroom. No slamming up the gavel saying order in my court. No, he just let them go on for, 10 minutes with that behavior.
What was your partial custody that you were awarded?
Well, he said to, you guys work out a visitation schedule. We tried to work out a visitation schedule to the point where we had to go back in and say to the judge, he's not cooperating. And this went on for months and months and months. I had 2 judges' orders with visitation schedules, and my father and I would pull into the driveway. The lights were on, no one's home. So I didn't get to see them months and months and months.
For how long did you go without seeing your children?
From beginning of June to the end of August.
The summer?
Yeah.
And then what custody schedule did you have?
Well, I think what happened was, when he had sequestered one of my children, my child made it very clear that he wanted to see his mother. And, I was all for 50-50. I told the 2 when I had them, I said, whatever you want, tell him what you want, I myself was not out for blood or full custody because because in my mind, we had co-parented well before, you just have it in your mind, 50-50 is fine with me. So my son told the judge that he was very miserable where he was at, and he wants to see his mother. So when the judge came back on the bench, he ordered that I see them every other weekend from Friday night to Sunday night. And then there was, hell broke loose in the courtroom. The entourage was screaming their heads off, and my attorney's leaning back and laughing, like, look at their behavior. Because it's like, here I was under an indication of emotional child abuse, and this judge gives me weekend with unsupervised visits. He said, it's a miracle that happened. He said, he's never seen that happen.
So, but this isn't even the worst. I understand that you had some legal trouble in support court as well.
That turned out very badly, as I could not work as a nurse because of the indications. And then when the hospital had
indications, what do you mean?
The emotional abuse and indications, because of the Child Protective Services laws, you cannot work with children if you are under any abuse indication.
So they took your ability to work away, and what happened in terms of your obligation to pay?
The judge continued to estimate my earning capacity as a full-time registered nurse when I was never full-time in my life. I was always part-time.
And then what happened in court when you were unable to pay?
Well, the long and short of it was I ended up in a contempt box with a bunch of other men, and she called me first and said, if you can come up with $2,000, I won't send you to jail, but I'm giving you 1 month to come up with $2,000, or I'm going to send you to prison for 2 months. And that's where I ended up. I only lasted 5 days because I was getting very sick. I was on, medication for anxiety and depression, and you don't just go cold turkey off these medications.
And did they allow you to have your medication?
Oh, no.
And then what happened to you?
Oh, I was going into withdrawals. I was very sick to the point where, and let me tell you, I had very nice cellmates. The whole general population of women, they were even praying over me, which was very nice of them, but I was vomiting everywhere, to be completely honest with you.
What was the result? Tell us the conclusion of how things ended up.
Well, I called my father because it was very hard to get to a phone, because as soon as they yell move, you've got to run and grab a phone before someone else does. I called my dad and I said, you've got to get me out of here or I'm coming out in a body bag.
And what happened?
Because I even told the nurse there that I'm having chest pain, back pain. I think I need to go to the emergency room. And the guard stood there and says, we don't do that here. So I toughed it out that night, my father went and paid the $2,000 purge amount that Judge Margarita Spear felt she had to have. And even after the heart attack, she still estimated me at the earning capacity of a full-time registered nurse.
Were you ever able to meet that obligation?
Never. It was not doable. It was just not. I could not work until even though, I was cleared and exonerated of the second indication, the hospital would not rehire me back because they knew there was more children.
So at one point, you took matters in your own hands and begun representing yourself. Can you tell us how that came about and how it turned out?
Okay, well, I had showed a motion to my attorney, and they got mad and fired me. So then I said, well, okay, I'm going to do this on my own. I'm going to appeal to Superior Court. And I argued 3 times in Superior Court. The long and short of it is I did win 2 cases out of 3.
Handling your own brief and oral argument.
Yeah, I did have some help from a friend. I did have some, here, put that, what about that? Put that role in, you know what I mean?
An attorney friend, you mean?
Kind of, yeah. He was. I don't even think he was like an attorney friend. He was just a helpful friend,
okay.
And but I was just kind of just. In fact, I have to be honest with you. When I submitted the support brief and reproduced record, it was all jumbled up. It was such a mess because I don't know. When I went to have it printed, the lady just threw all the papers at me, and they had to be out at a certain time.
So with all the requirements, the time requirements, having to stand up in front of a courtroom, you reverse the judge, where judges only get reversed maybe 5% of the time. You handling your own case, reverse the judge on appeal 2 out of 3 times.
Yes.
So tell us about what caused you to write the book. Tell us about a little bit about the book. What's in it?
Well, I wanted to, like warn people, because what happened to me can happen to you. I mean, people don't realize that they're sitting ducks. Here you are with a nice family. You don't know if a neighbor can place an indication on you. And I wrote it because, I wanted people held accountable. And I wanted it to be a self-help manual book, because there's takeaways in there as to what I would do if I was doing this. A mistake was made here, so then you would do this.
MaryAnn, where can we learn more about you?
If you just type in dismantlingfamilycourtcorruption.com, my website will come up, and you can just go through it and read it. And I announced that they're making a movie based on my book. A Canadian producer picked it up, and he wants to turn it into film.
And where can we get a copy of the book?
Well, you could get it on Amazon. And even through my website, if you go on to Dismantling Family Court Corruption, it says purchase book. Click on that, and it takes you right to Amazon.
What's next for you? We have a book, we have a movie, and what are you doing to stay busy these days?
I'm trying to think of the second book, and I also have a book of actual law poetry. I've written poetry because there's some poetry in the book, about family court, being a non-custodial parent, things like that. And people have really liked my poems. And so I want to put together, because I have a bunch of these poems. So my publisher wants to maybe do that and start working on the second book.
So let's leave it there. MaryAnn, I want to thank you for being a guest on my YouTube channel.
Thank you. And the movie will be called Custody Denied.
Custody Denied. I look forward to seeing it. Thanks again. And everybody watching, tune in next time. Bye for now.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Like, subscribe, and click the notification bell for new videos. To learn more about my legal services, click the links in the description section of this YouTube video or on one of the video links on your screen. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.